what he's capable of. Really a fun matchup on the inside to start today's game.
And a quick look at today's starting lineups brought to you by Jeep. Keep an eye on number 1 for Ohio State versus number 1 for Bucknell. Kimball McKenzie, a veteran player for the Bison, and Luther Muhammad, a promising freshman, could be matched up against each other today. We are ready to go from inside the Jerome Schottenstein Center on the campus of Ohio State. Great to be with you. Maybe you're taking a break from your Christmas shopping to join us on the broadcast today. Ohio State has been very good defensively this season, prone at times to offensive dry spells. They look for a fast start after a bit of a layoff. It's been about 10 days since Ohio State's last game against Illinois. Nice dump down from Caleb Resson to his big brother, Andre. Easy bucket and a good start for Ohio State.
Bucknell's going to post trap. You got to bring help defense. There's some confusion. You lose track of an open cutter. And that's a breakdown defensively for Bucknell. Cannot happen, especially on the road against a team like Ohio State.
Bucknell has been prone to some slow starts this year.
I expect Nate Sestina going to try to take Caleb Wesson away from the basket, a guy that can really make shots from the perimeter. Ohio State obviously one of the best defensive teams in the Big Ten Conference.
But Avi Toomer can certainly shoot from 3, and it's an early 3-2 lead for Bucknell.
Well, Toomer, last 2 games, shooting 54% from 3, averaging 17 a game, playing with a lot of confidence. If you're there, that's not enough. You got to have a hand up. Ohio State kind of falls asleep there, lets him get into a rhythm.
C.J. Jackson, the point guard for Ohio State, had a rough game against Illinois. High pass again from Caleb to Andre. And, Robbie, you really like how much Andre Wesson has improved this year.
I love the way he plays. Just a high basketball IQ guy. And right there, great cut to the basket. And there's that connection, Caleb to Andre. Andre Wesson doing a nice job making himself available to his brother.
Ohio State's staff told us before the game today they are stunned at how much better of a player Andre Wesson is as a junior than when he came into the program a couple of years ago.
Well, he's a guy that can guard. He's just dependable. You know what you're getting from him offensively. He's really improved. A guy that can make shots, but just a solid player and a winning player.
Well, there's some great defense for Ohio State. There's Sestina out to guard Caleb Wesson in space. There's the freshman Luther Muhammad over to senior Kimball McKenzie.
And Luther Muhammad, just a two-way player, and a guy that can score, known for his defense, loves the crossover dribble. Right now, Ohio State in a complete rhythm, getting whatever they want offensively.
And again, we were looking to see if there was any sign of rust for Ohio State. There's a rusty shot by Nate Sestina. But as you said, Robbie, they're in rhythm after a long break for finals.
Kyle Young's got to get Caleb Wesson the ball there. Nice duck in, had position.
Muhammad dumps it off for Caleb Wesson. Everyone was waiting for a whistle, and then it finally came.
Ohio State in a rhythm early, and you're going to see Caleb Wesson finding his brother. Great cut by Andre, right to the rim, gets in the paint. And how about Luther Muhammad? Loves that right to left cross, gets to his spot, rises, elevates. Right now, everything going right for Ohio State early.
You know, Caleb Wesson is an underrated passer as he gets a touch in the paint. Not quite enough touch. He's averaging an assist per game. Jimmy Sotos with it now, the lead point guard this year, a sophomore from Elk Grove Village, Illinois. Kimball McKenzie fires from 3, and the rebound caroms to Ohio State. C.J. Jackson taps the brakes. Wesson, deep shot for the big man. And the rebound, battled for and won by his brother Andre. How about another look? He won't miss 2 in a row.
Well, the first one, I'm not sure Chris Holtman thinks is a great shot so early in the shot clock, but he does find himself wide open, and like you said, he's worked at it. A guy that can make shots from the perimeter. And off an offensive rebound, a great time to get a shot up from the three-point line.
Air ball by Avi Toomer, and they're encouraging Caleb Wesson to look for shots like that more often. 7-0 run for Ohio State. And a travel on Kyle Young. Everyone talks about the long stretch for final exams as a difficult one that college teams must navigate, and I think it probably makes coaches like Chris Holtman more anxious than anybody.
Well, it's a tough stretch because you're not in the same rhythm that you would be throughout the rest of the season. You have practices that are, the structure of it is different. It's just a tough time. You're not playing a ton of games. And you always wonder, how's your team going to come out? Well, I'm sure Chris Holtman likes this start. They've gotten good shots defensively. They've locked down Bucknell. It's been tough for them to get quality looks at the rim. This Ohio State, the thing that impresses you about it is they just play hard all the time. You know, they give you that type of effort every time out. Maybe a team that doesn't have an overwhelming superstar, but a team that the sum of their parts is greater than what they have individually.
Kimball McKenzie short off the rim. Did you notice that Caleb Wesson was guarding Jimmy Sotos there?
Got switched on to him and did a good job moving the feet.
If there's one knick-knack you could point to for Caleb Wesson, he does run into foul trouble a little bit. Open underneath. Looked like he almost got hacked there, but he finishes.
Well, he is going to physically dominate this basketball game. And right now, Ohio State doing a great job of finding him in position to score. He's also doing a nice job of getting that position. Have to expect Ohio State going to pound it inside all night long here.
Free throw line jumper for Sotos goes begging. And when we talked to Bucknell head coach Nate Davis, he said that they have to limit the number of touches that Caleb Wesson gets deep in the paint close to the basket. Sotos glides in and finishes with the finger roll that time.
And really the first breakdown that Ohio State has had. You never stop the basketball. The most important thing gets right to the rim. Jimmy Sotos doing a nice job there of pushing tempo.
That was the first field goal for Bucknell in 4 minutes. Whistle off ball. And a foul on Ohio State. Certainly no residual rust for the Buckeyes after a bit of a break for finals.
Inside, we're going to play right through Caleb Wesson. They've done just that. 5 points, 3 assists for the big fella. You see him finding his brother on the nice cut. Really, he's been terrific this season. The issue has been foul trouble. Last 4 games, he's had 3+ fouls in all 4 of those, and only the most he's played is 26 minutes. So you look at that, a guy that Ohio State needs on the floor, really one of the best big guys in the Big Ten Conference.
Did you like that foul through, or follow through, I should say, on the three-pointer there?
Well, he can stroke it. He's a guy that can make shots. I think it's about taking the right ones for him.
Bucknell is not shooting the ball particularly well, and Ohio State's defense, again, has held its last 2 opponents to under 20 made field goals for the entire game. And keep in mind, those were 2 Big Ten opponents.
Through 6 minutes, they've been incredibly good on the defensive end of the floor, just being there on contested shots and being in the right position, guarding their man individually.
And you know what their game plan is. It's to work it inside to Caleb Wesson, and he's had some open looks.
As they should. And there you see him slip that ball screen. Kimball McKenzie just a little late coming over. Caleb Wesson continues to be the driving force of Ohio State's game plan.
It double figures in 6 straight games for the sophomore out of Westerville South High School, not far from Columbus. And he's certainly on his way to 7 in a row, and that's going to give Nathan Davis some headaches. He's a 72% foul shooter, and he goes 2 for 2 there. Walter Ellis is on the floor now, number 2 in blue for Bucknell. He's the son of former NBA player and Notre Dame great LaFonso Ellis. Stayed at LaFonso's hotel, as a matter of fact, before the game. Kimball McKenzie with less than 10 to shoot. He drains the triple try.
Well, that's a play that's going to drive Chris Holtman crazy. C.J. Jackson on the gamble, doesn't get the basketball, and you give up a wide open 3 on a game where you're doing such a nice job defensively. You just cannot give a team like Bucknell an easy look to break that streak. They're 1 in their last 8 prior to that 3-point man.
Keyshawn Woods now on the floor for Ohio State, as Caleb Wesson has it outside the paint. That's where Bucknell wants him, and sure enough, a turnover. Walter Ellis has it.
That's the first time right there where Caleb Wesson has looked uncomfortable with the post trap, just never really in a groove, and really forced that basketball to a cutter that wasn't open.
Well, that is the first basket of the season for Bucknell sophomore John Meeks. He was on the injured list with a lower leg injury for the start of the season. A guy that Bucknell expected to see substantial minutes at the start of the year. And he might not play a ton today because of conditioning, but that was a much-needed inside bucket for the Bison.
This Bucknell program is really so impressive. The way they've been to the tournament the last 2 years, the success they've had in the Patriot League. You lose 3 all-conference guys, and you still are a team that's picked 2nd in your league, and probably one of the favorites to go to the NCAA tournament again.
Caleb Wesson has 9 after another close-range bucket, and we haven't called Nate Sestina's name at all for Bucknell in this game.
And if they're going to compete, he has to be a guy that has some success.
Paul Newman traveled. Nathan Davis has put together quite a program at Bucknell. He's in his 4th season. He was an assistant about 10 years ago when Bucknell was also regularly going to the NCAA tournament. But this is a Bucknell team that has won 7 out of the last 8 regular season titles in the Patriot League. There's only one other team in all of Division I basketball that's won that many league titles in an 8-year span, and it's Kansas.
The success they've had, it's just been so impressive. You look at what Nathan Davis has been able to do. That pass right there is just a little too hot for Jaden Ledee to handle. Right look, but probably one where Ledee needs to catch that one.
This is Chris Holtman's 2nd time coaching against Bucknell. When Holtman was the head coach at Butler, he faced this Bucknell team just a couple of years ago, in fact. So he knows how hard they play. Jimmy Sotos, as Keyshawn Woods closes on him. Ben Robertson back to Sotos, and it's turned away by C.J. Jackson. Boy, it looked like he came off a trampoline there. On the drive. High off glass. What a finish.
And that's the flashes that C.J. Jackson shows you where you think, man, this guy can be one of the better point guards in this league. And right back at you for Bucknell, just not getting back in transition for the Buckeyes. And on a made basket, that's just something that cannot happen.
Certainly neutralizes momentum at the very least. What a tough shot by Keyshawn Woods.
He's just been such a stabilizing force as a grad transfer for Chris Holtman. Was terrific against Illinois, 18 points, coming off a game where he had 0.
There's a tie-up, and we go to break.
Well, C.J. Jackson, guy that's getting it done on both ends of the floor. A little defense leading to offense. There you see the contest, and then getting out in transition, getting to that left hand, and finishing for Ohio State.
Ohio State over Bucknell about halfway through the first half. A look at the Ohio State bench, and a quick foul as it was Bucknell basketball out of the timeout, but then an off-ball foul called on Nate Sestina. That's already his 2nd, Robbie.
And Sestina just a guy that Bucknell cannot beat Ohio State with him on the not on the floor yet. Foul trouble going to be a huge issue, and you see Nathan Davis going to leave him in. Trust the senior to play with 2 fouls.
Also on the floor, Dwayne Washington Jr., a true freshman for Ohio State. Keyshawn Woods, the graduate senior transfer from Wake Forest, dishes to Washington. 1 dribble and a pop and a bucket.
Dwayne Washington just a guy that can score the basketball. And right there, showing you the mid-range game, the pull-up. Love the fact he's aggressive. And right back at you, Nate Sestina trailing into the play. Ohio State had some uncharacteristic breakdowns here, and Bucknell has weathered this storm early in the first half.
They sure have. Bucknell started 1 for 7 from the floor. They're now 5 for their last 7. Here's Jaden Ledee, another freshman from Houston. That's batted away, and here comes Bucknell. Chance to make this a 1-possession game. They'll have to wait. Jimmy Sotos is called for setting the illegal screen.
Bucknell foul, number 3, Jimmy Sotos, his first team score. Substitution into the game for the Buckeyes, number 34, Caleb Wesson.
This Ohio State team is only allowing opponents to shoot 27% from 3 this season. Why has Bucknell been able to get some looks as this first half has gone on?
Ohio State has just had some breakdowns, and they're really uncharacteristic of this team. They've been so solid all season, but you've lost track of some guys. It's going to be tough for Caleb Wesson to guard a perimeter big like Nate Sestina. We'll see, can they exploit that matchup. Now, on the flip side of things, I don't think Bucknell has anybody that can guard Wesson on the inside. It's going to be a fun matchup to see these coaches, chess match for sure, play inside out with their 5-man.
11 points already for Caleb Wesson, the 2017 Mr. Ohio basketball winner. Andrew Funk. Boy, Bucknell is red hot.
But really, that goes back. Caleb Wesson on the hedge there. There is so much space in between the on-ball defender and that hedge. Easy for Jimmy Sotos to split it, get into the teeth of the defense. find your shooter, and Andrew Funk knocking it down from distance.
This is Jallo, sophomore from Bloomington, Indiana. Slippery fingers. Five to shoot. Wesson doesn't seem aware of it. Woods, did he get it off? Bucknell certainly didn't think so, but it's a missed bucket either way. Here come the Bison. Ben Robertson with the pump. Bad pass. Robertson's got it. Keep an eye on number 14 for Bucknell. He can elevate, to say the least, as we saw pregame. But Funk can shoot. Woods with an opening. Extra pass to Young. Did you think Woods could have gotten to the bucket himself?
Probably, but just a guy that makes plays for others and just a stabilizing force again when things aren't going great for Ohio State. It seems like Keyshawn Woods, a guy that's been there to really clean up the mess. As we said, coming off really his best game of his Ohio State career there, getting into the paint, finding Kyle Young. Here we talked about that bad HUD. Look at the space that's in there. Easy for Jimmy Sotos to drive a bust through there, and then a little swing action. You find Andrew Funk. Great offense for Bucknell. Easy game when you play it the right way.
Jimmy Sotos is an excellent free throw shooter, 80% from the line this year. He's second in the Patriot League in assists, so when you give him that big of a lane, as you said, Robbie, he's going to pad his stats for sure. When the action ends, the Big Show takes over. Highlights from a jam-packed day of men's basketball around the conference and more. The Big Show at 9 Eastern tonight. Thanks for starting your Saturday with us. Chris Fosters and Robbie Hummel with you. Ohio State ranked 15th in the AP poll going into this one. Bad pass by Wesson, and Bucknell turns the Buckeyes over. Sotos with a dish into the corner. That was a bad pass, but Bucknell hangs on. Paul Newman reverse. Nearly tipped back in, but Young is there to corral it for Ohio State.
Bucknell doing a nice job on the post trap. Caleb Wesson really not comfortable, and when you can do that, be solid in your trap. No airspace at all for Wesson to pivot out of. He's had a hard time finding guys. Got out to the hot start early, but has struggled for the last 3 minutes.
Great tip into the backcourt by Caleb Wesson. That saves the possession. Open man on the perimeter. Dwayne Washington lights it up.
Well, there it is. Trap coming late that time. Wesson able to really survey what he has, and he finds Dwayne Washington wide open. One of the best shooters on the floor, getting a high percentage look.
7 players have scored for Ohio State today. Avi Toomer is feeling it.
Man, he's shooting it with so much confidence. A guy that missed a lot of last year with an injury, and has come out this season. Not only is he the team's best on-ball defender, shooting the ball with so much confidence here.
Well, and he came to campus as a college-ready defender, and the offensive part of his game developed from there. Washington is a college-ready offensive player because of that jump shot.
Well, you better get a hand out. He's not lacking confidence at all in a breakdown in your pick-and-roll coverage. Dwayne Washington comes off uncovered, wide open.
Both teams exchanging long-range three-pointers. 8-point lead for the Buckeyes.
Team All-Patriot League selections right there from last season, and 2 guys that had actually been player of the year in their conference. So you lose so much, but you still reload. You bring back 38% of your points and 44% of your rebounds. Still talent for Bucknell. And credit Nathan Davis for just being a coach that's been able to really reload this team.
It was the first time in the 28-year history of the Patriot League that one team put 3 first-team All-League guys onto that postseason honors list. You saw John Meeks with his second field goal of the day, and that's off Bucknell. It stays with Ohio State.
To start this game, Chris, Ohio State came out in such a rhythm, and we've seen some uncharacteristic breakdowns. That last possession, really just too easy. You see John Meeks come, just fake a dribble handoff and go right to the paint. Not good enough by Kyle Young.
There's Kyle Young on the offensive end. Great catch and finish.
And C.J. Jackson getting right into that painted area, setting up Kyle Young, and the nice patience with the head fake.
Bucknell is shooting 47% from the floor. It's going to go down a little bit. Nearly an offensive rebound, but Muhammad saves it. And contrast that with what Ohio State is allowing this season, only allowing opponents to shoot on average 36.7% from the floor. Luther Muhammad. That was smooth.
Really just a nice drive by Luther Muhammad, but credit Caleb Wesson there clearing out Paul Newman, a guy that's second in the Patriot League in block shots, had no chance to come over to try to affect that shot.
And it's been Newman who's seen the bulk of the minutes in this first half on Caleb Wesson, not Nate Sestina. 10 to shoot. Kimball McKenzie has had a quiet first half as well for Bucknell. He tries to draw the foul and throws up a pass basically to Caleb Wesson.
I don't care how good you are. Anytime you're going up against a defender like Luther Muhammad, it's going to be difficult. Great length, just a competitor. And there you see it. He is in Kimball McKenzie's grill. Nothing easy. Doesn't go for the head fake. And just a great defensive possession, not just by Muhammad there, but all of Ohio State's defense.
Well, and in the case of Muhammad, it seems like he really enjoys being that kind of guy, too.
Just a guy that competes on both ends of the floor, a true two-way player in this conference, a guy that just a freshman, his best basketball is certainly ahead of it.
And among freshmen in the Big Ten, Muhammad is ranked in the top 10 in field goal percentage and assists per game, to the point of him being a two-way player, Robbie.
I think that the toughness he showed against Illinois coming off that shoulder dislocation, he had 2 or 3 collisions out there where you could tell he was not worried about that whatsoever, and cleared really a shoot around, found out he was going to be able to play, went out there and played 35 minutes.
He's averaging 28 minutes per game, a high total for a freshman. Got around Avi Toomer and picks up a foul, no shot. That is foul number 1 on Avi Toomer, the junior from Atlanta. Chris Holtman admitted that he was pacing in the living room because he was so anxious about the 10-day layoff for the Buckeyes, kiddingly, of course. But there have been some concerns for Ohio State on the defensive end, more so than on the offensive end today, which is a bit of a surprise. Wesson was lucky to get that back. Now he gets it again and puts it in.
It's a great pocket pass by C.J. Jackson, and Caleb Wesson taking his time, showing the head fake, getting defender in the air. And when he takes his time, as good as any big guy in this league.
That was a block by the big man, too, who's doing it all today. He's got a career-high 4 assists already. No pick and roll that time. Takes a seat, in fact. Big brother Andre has it now. Andre and Caleb's dad played at Ohio State. That was aggressive defense by Jimmy Sotos. And here comes Bucknell. Boy, players falling all over the place. And Kimball McKenzie makes Ohio State pay. He's got 6 points.
Well, that was terrific by Jimmy Sotos. Great help defense, and then advancing the basketball for Bucknell. But again, Caleb Wesson continuing the interior dominance here, taking the time. Nice head fake, show the basketball, score the ball. How about a little bit of defense, though? Going upstairs, nothing easy in the paint against this Buckeye D. Minutes to end this half. It's going to be paint touches and drives for the Buckeyes.
And Bucknell will likely want to keep triggering from long range. They are 7 of 15 from beyond the long line, but this is a breakaway for Avi Toomer and a soft layup instead.
And again, just a breakdown that we haven't seen from the Buckeyes this season. Have to wonder, a little bit of rust from finals week, but there, just a lazy pass. No excuse for that.
Wayne Washington with the floater. And I think, Robbie, we expected the rust to be on the offensive side for Ohio State, but it appears to be the reverse.
Just some uncharacteristic mistakes that normally Chris Holtman's defense just doesn't make.
Great feed into Sestina. He got closed on quickly, but still muscles his way up to the rack.
Well, Andre Wesson coming over, trying to help Kyle Young, but credit Nate Sestina staying with the basketball. And Bucknell has cut this down just a 5-point lead. They really hung in there early.
Remember, this Bucknell team took Michigan State to the wire in Detroit in the first round of the NCAA tournament last year. They ultimately lost 82-78, but that was a 3-14 match. And now Bucknell can chip away at this deficit even more. Approaching 2 minutes to go until halftime. Great matchup inside Value City Arena. Sestina has got 5 straight points.
And Jimmy Soto's doing a great job right there, stringing that ball screen out, keeping the big man in front of him. That leaves Nathan Sestina wide open. And the Patriot League first team all-selection calmly knocks it down on the road.
Did you see this being a 2-point game with under 2 minutes to go in the first half?
Well, I think with the start that Ohio State got off to, no. This Bucknell team is certainly good, but the way Ohio State played early, it looked to be locked in, and it's kind of slipped.
Jackson got covered up and drew the foul. Nathan Davis, the head coach for Bucknell, cannot believe it.
Bruce Moore moving the feet. But I think Larry Scirotto's right. Just at the end, hands came down, was not straight up. Good call. C.J. Jackson able to get into that painted area. The theme of the night for the Buckeyes. Make something happen.
C.J. Jackson made his 50th career start for Ohio State today. Goes begging on the first free throw attempt. Coming up at the half, we'll send it back to Dave Rebson, Jess Settles, and Deion Thomas for the State Farm halftime report. Lots to talk about in the first half today, that's for sure. Jackson is an 80% free throw shooter on the season and a rare 0-for-2 sequence, and Bucknell can take the lead with a three-pointer. And a lot of guys on the floor right now can make that a reality. Not that guy, though. Paul Newman, he hands off to Kimball McKenzie. That's a 2-point shot and a tie game.
A really good offense. That ball moving from side to side. Kimball McKenzie playing some pick and roll, and he is great in that mid-range game and getting to where he wants to go and elevate.
It's a 12-0 run for the Bucknell Bison, showing no qualms whatsoever without going into the teeth of this Ohio State unit.
And to me, Caleb Weston has to get a touch on the block right here. Has not gotten the basketball to the big fella. And now he picks up a foul.
That's the first personal on Wesson, who actually has battled foul trouble this season. He's arguing that it should have been a hook and hold.
There you see. Oh, yeah, that is a hook and hold. He's got Caleb Wesson's arm right there, and that's probably going to be a flagrant one.
They are reviewing that. Our officials today, Larry Scirotto, Donnie Epley, and Lewis Garrison. That's Epley on the left, Scirotto on the right, and here again is the call in question. Something that you can retroactively go back and review, Robbie, like targeting in the college football game.
And I think on the rebounds, it's a tough thing to call because so many guys are locking arms like that when grappling for rebounding position. Now, I get when it's on the basketball and a ball handler does it to gain position and make it look like you foul, but this is a tough one to officiate. Happens so often. Got to credit Caleb Weston for going to the official and saying, hey, he hook and hold me. You guys need to go and review this.
They might as well call this the Isaac Haas rule, right?
Yeah, last year you saw it in the NCAA tournament and tried to clean it up from the game. But I also think the fact that guards were doing it in order to get fouls was really their main concern. You see so many guys locking up with the defender, then flailing back. And it's a tough thing for these officials to call.
Did that ever happen to you in a game where you hooked and held?
Yeah, you play overseas enough, you're absolutely going to see it. Those guys are taught to do that.
Anything goes over there?
It's just the way they teach the game. They really embrace getting contact and drawing fouls.
All right, well, we have the explanation coming our way from Larry Scirotto. He's telling Robbie right now. And what news do you have, Robbie?
So because he never clamped down, they're saying it's not a hook and hold.
You agree with that?
I think that's a tough part of this rule to officiate. That's on the borderline. There is a little bit of a lock up there. You see, there's that arm right there. I guess my question would be, what defines a clamp in that situation?
Well, that defines a three-pointer. Jimmy Soto's supplying it, and it's a three-point lead for Bucknell with 30 seconds to go until halftime. Sotos has 6. And you're starting to see some Bucknell Bison fans on their feet inside Value City Arena, and they've got a lot to cheer about, that's for sure. A fantastic first half. Really a fantastic final 10 minutes of the first half specifically. Woods, fade away.
What a shot. Tough shot by Keyshawn Woods, going and making a play over Paul Newman.
Half-court buzzer beater goes begging from Avi Toomer. And what can you say about Bucknell in that first half?
Well, they just hung in there. You see a Bucknell Bison team that has been through the wars. They hang in there on the road against a very good Ohio State team. I expect Chris Holtman to bring his team back, though, maybe with some fire here after the halftime break.
We've got our friends in the studio in Chicago on the other side of this break. Halftime between Bucknell and Ohio State. Anyone's game inside Value City Arena.
I would have loved to have been in there, see what Chris Holtman had for his guys.
As interesting is the operative word there. I'm sure you don't miss that part of your basketball playing career, being in a locker room when the coach has something he really wants to say.
There was plenty to say for Ohio State, just some breakdowns, and there it is, a paint touch immediately. Expect Caleb Wesson to get fed often.
Great defense by Jimmy Sotos that time, but Luther Muhammad is there for cleanup. Andre with the dump down to Caleb. Too strong with the left hand. Sestina snaps down the rebound for Bucknell. Here comes Avi Toomer. Kimball McKenzie on the baseline drive, top of the key. Great ball movement by Bucknell. And what do you know? A triple to start the second half. That's Bruce Moore's first of the game.
Oh, pretty basketball. You get a paint touch, and Sestina so mature, making the extra pass. Jimmy Sotos facilitating. But that really starts with Caleb Wesson needing to go right through Sestina. He's got 2 fouls, have to go stronger than that. Missed layups leading to open three.
Well, there was some contact in the lane there. Offensive rebound, put back for the big fella.
And again, Sestina with the foul trouble, unable to challenge that shot. I would think, Caleb Wesson, you're going to go right at the big guy, Sestina. Take advantage of the fact that he cannot afford to get that third.
Physically, Caleb Wesson is far and away the most imposing player on the floor right now, wearing either colored jersey. Bruce Moore off the mark. Boy, Avi Toomer skied to bring that one in for Bucknell.
That's a missed block out. Just nobody there checking. Avi Toomer able to fly in and steal a possession.
On the cut, Sotos.
And Chris, another breakdown.
Yes.
It's really surprising. Usually this Buckeye defense so locked into what they're doing. Sotos, one of the smallest players on the floor, goes to the rim untouched.
And signals crossed on offense.
There you see Nate Sestina posting up and nobody checking Jimmy Sotos. Have to think, when that basketball's on one side of the floor, that helped D needs to be in the paint. Nobody in the painted area. Too easy for Bucknell.
And even though Ohio State is down by 4 right now, how important is them for them to stick with their inside game and not settle for shots?
Well, it's okay if you take perimeter jump shots. I just think the way that they've been able to get into the paint with the dribble drive and also throw it into the big fella, got to make concerted effort to do that. That doesn't mean that you don't shoot any threes. If it's a good one, absolutely take that shot.
That foul goes against Luther Muhammad, his first. And it puts Kimball McKenzie at the free throw line. Kimball McKenzie is a guy that is averaging 16 points, nearly 4 assists per game. He was an all-league player 2 years ago, missed 12 games with injury last year, and now he's 100% and really keying this Bucknell attack.
And this season, he's been a guy that's been better on the road, averaging 20 a game on the road, shooting 47% at home, just 13 on 30. So he has been really good away, and he's been really good today.
Bucknell is energized to start the second half, to say the least. All of a sudden, it's Bucknell who's getting hands in passing lanes, coming out into the backcourt and challenging everything.
And you have to think, Chris, the longer that they can hang around, the more energy they're going to play with. Ohio State needs to stem the tide.
Andre Wesson gathers his own miss. Misses again. And it finally caroms to Kimball McKenzie, who picks up the foul, courtesy of Keyshawn Woods.
That's Andre Wesson on the ground. He got popped in the mouth. A lot of contact on that play. Bodies flying everywhere, and you see him kind of stumbling back. Oh, man, gets his head jammed into the floor.
And he has his hand over his mouth right now and is writhing in pain. Tough to see. And you can see the concerned looks on Ohio State's bench. You see some teeth on the floor there, Robbie?
I think Lewis Garrison just picked up a tooth. He's giving it to Scooney Penn right there.
This is not the first time that Andre Wesson has had to leave a game this season with a really, really tough injury. In the home opener against Purdue Fort Wayne, he got caught up in the air, took a hard fall on his back, coming down trying to throw down a dunk. That was even more gruesome. You know, we just got the nonverbal from Larry Scarato, one of the officials. He basically made a pancake-like gesture to describe what Andre Wesson said.
You know, there was nothing vicious about that play. It's just Nate Sestina going for a basketball, falling, and unfortunately falls on the head of Andre Wesson.
Sestina on the drive. He was contested by Musa Jallo. And a foul is called. 2 free throws. Chris Holtman can't believe it.
I thought that was ball. I'd like to see that again. Musa Jallo meeting Sestina at the rim. Oh, boy. Looked pretty clean right there. That's a tough one there for the Buckeyes. And this crowd reacting to seeing the replay in the arena.
They are howling right now.
That's a lot of ball.
Sestina goes 2 for 2 and extending this Bucknell run to conclude the first half. It is now 24-4. Bucknell over Ohio State. And now there's some emotional insecurity just seeing the tough injury to Andre Wesson. Ohio State needs a spark right now.
That's Nate Sestina picking up his third. See him and Caleb Wesson going at it in the paint. And that's tough for Sestina. 2 guys just going at it. And Sestina going to have to sit down. And such a big part of this Bucknell offense.
Holtman is getting in the ear of the officials right now. Luther Muhammad pops and hits.
How about that play? A little screen for the screener action. Every basketball team in America from 6th grade on runs that inbounds play, but credit Luther Muhammad setting a solid screen and then coming off ready to shoot the basketball.
Ohio State's crowd gets behind the Buckeyes right now. They need a stop on defense to try and cool down the Bison. Bucknell has not defeated a road-ranked opponent since 2005, and they're giving Ohio State a challenge right now. That foul goes against Caleb Wesson. The second foul on Caleb. Great closeout by Muhammad. McKenzie looks for some space, 10 to shoot. Senior on a freshman. An offensive foul called on Bruce Moore. His third.
They're going to get more for trying to seal Musa Jallo. Got a little too aggressive there and posted up the guard. Felt he had a mismatch. Nice job there by Jallo holding his ground and drawing the offensive foul.
Keyshawn Woods came up with the big bucket for Ohio State against Illinois. In the Buckeyes' last game, Ohio State needs a big possession here. Woods nearly traveled, throws it away instead.
Bucknell's defense really locking in on that possession. You see Ohio State running a little bit of a dribble weave, dribble drive type action, and the Buckeyes just cannot penetrate that help defense. Guards are in the gaps. There you see it, just nothing easy. Keyshawn Woods stumbling backwards, just tosses that basketball out of bounds.
Ever since about the 10-minute mark of the first half, Bucknell has thrived against Ohio State really on both ends of the floor. Hit their shots. Runner, Sotos, short. Jackson has it for Ohio State. They work a numbers advantage. Transition three. Much needed for the Buckeyes.
And that's going to have to be the guy. If Caleb Wesson's out, C.J. Jackson, a guy that's made huge shots in his career, making a big one right there. And we'll see, can this Ohio State defense get on track, start putting together strings of stops.
Paul Newman off the window. Nice little stutter there.
Not sure he called bank, but it's open today. Nice shoulder shimmy, frees himself from the defender.
Keyshawn Woods.
A mature feel by Keyshawn Woods. Nice head fake. Utilize that play. Get the defender in the air and make a little pull-up.
We've got a great rhythm going right now in this game. The best we've seen so far. Both teams exchanging baskets. Fluid on either end. There's a three-car pile-up and a jump ball.
Keyshawn Woods getting things going here in the second half. Got 6 points. A little head fake, get to your spot, rise, fire. Ohio State trying to come back here in Columbus. Well, such a big part of this Ohio State team and just a tough kid. And it was a tough play. Two guys going for a loose basketball. And Andre Wesson looks like he's going to be able to come back in and play. He just said to Chris Holtman, he said, "I'm good to go, coach."
That's incredible toughness. He hasn't even been gone that long. It was a second half injury.
No, he was not in the locker room for long, that's for sure.
Maybe that gives Ohio State a boost. Seeing a fallen comrade come back onto the bench. Blocking foul, it goes against Ohio State.
They're going to say that Kyle Young was in the restricted area right there. Musa Jallow, though, again, gambling, taking himself out of position. And, well, no, they're not going to say it was out of the restricted area. But again, that play made by Jallow, taking himself through the passing lanes. And there you see Andre Wesson going to check back in. Really incredible. It didn't probably miss, what, 2 or 3 minutes a game?
He looks like nothing happened, like he just took a breather on the bench. Here he comes. 3 cracked teeth. No big deal. And a look for John Meeks, playing in his first game action of the season following a lower body injury specifically. Muhammad into the corner. Keyshawn Woods.
Luther Muhammad again making things happen off the bounce. Great drive to the baseline, finding Keyshawn Woods, who does a great job relocating to the corner.
We got a 1-point game in Columbus. Toomer around Woods. Too strong at the rack. A lot of white jerseys underneath to corral it.
And that's one of those where Avi Toomer needs to just go right to the rim and score the ball, trying to draw a foul. Ends up missing the layup because of it.
Jackson has some.
And again, we said with Caleb Wesson on the bench, got to be C.J. Jackson. And these Ohio State guards, Luther Muhammad, C.J. Jackson, making plays for the Buckeyes here.
Now a 12-3 run for Ohio State. Can Bucknell counter? Into Newman. Offensive foul.
There you see Paul Newman catching the ball right in the post and just lowering the shoulder, going right through Kyle Young's chest. Good call there. How about this dribble drive, though? Luther Muhammad making things happen. And credit Keyshawn Woods getting right to that corner. These Ohio State guards making plays, bringing them back. They've made 5 of their last 5 field goals.
Signs of life for Ohio State. Bucknell dominated the middle stretch of this game. And a foul called on Andre Wesson. His second. Impressive, Robbie, that Bucknell has only turned the ball over 5 times today. They average 13 turnovers per game.
They've taken care of the basketball. They've gotten good looks. They've made threes. Now Ohio State has made their run. We'll see, can Bucknell take that punch and counter back with it?
Bucknell is looking for its first win over a ranked team since 2005 when they beat Syracuse. Here comes Ohio State. What a pass to Wesson. He's double-teamed. Out to Keyshawn Woods. He's heating up.
Ohio State's defense heating up, leading the offense. C.J. Jackson doing a nice job of pushing that basketball and making plays for this Ohio State team. Keyshawn Woods heating up from downtown.
Run to overtake Bucknell for now.
Well, they're on an 8-0 run over the last minute 48. They've made 6 consecutive field goals, but really the defense has heated up for this Buckeye team. They've gotten it done on that end of the floor, and it's led to good things on the offensive end. Bucknell hasn't scored in over 2 minutes, and we'll see, can the pressure and the intensity stay up for the Buckeyes coming out of the timeout?
That got wedged in between the rim and the glass on a shot by Kimball McKenzie. I think about how good Keyshawn Woods has been, Robbie, on this 15-3 run for Ohio State. He's got 8 of those 15 points. There hasn't been a go-to guy that's really emerged for Ohio State offensively yet. Maybe it's Woods.
Yeah, well, we thought it might be Caleb Weston because of the size advantage today, but you got to credit Keyshawn Woods just for his ability to move without the basketball. He's relocated. He's made it easy for these ball handlers of Ohio State to find him. And credit guys like C.J. Jackson, Luther Muhammad for doing just that.
I liked what you said when analyzing a Keyshawn Woods bucket. You said it was just a mature approach, and he's a graduate senior. He's played at Wake Forest for about 60 games. He just brings that feel to the floor for Ohio State.
Well, even what he told Chris Holtman when he transferred here, you know, he said, Coach, I just want to make the NCAA tournament. That's the most mature thing that you can say as a player. I don't care about my stats. I just want to win. I want to get back to a great event that I've played in once, and I want to make that 2 times in my career.
Kyle Young got the soft roll, and this is actually the 3rd stop for Keyshawn Woods. He started his college career at Charlotte and was actually recruited back then by Chris Holtman, and they finally link up in Columbus.
I have to think with Kyle Young on the floor, probably a better option to guard Nate Sestina, more mobile than Caleb Wesson.
A foul on Andre Wesson, his 3rd. Ohio State by 6. To the second half, they're shooting 62% since halftime. Let's go back to the first half and take a look at our State Farm assist of the game.
You see Caleb Wesson just imposing that size, and C.J. Jackson finding him. Big fella's been a little quiet in the second half, but other guys have stepped to the plate and made plays. We've seen Kyle Young make some here as of late, Luther Muhammad, C.J. Jackson, and of course, Keyshawn Woods has been terrific in the second half.
What do you think of the bounce-back game for C.J. Jackson after he, frankly, struggled against Illinois?
Well, Illinois has been a tough team in general for him to play against. He struggled last year against the Illini. It's really more of a style of play issue. They just make you as a guard play so fast and play at their pace, and they make you make individual plays. And he just struggled, but, you know, credit Chris Holtman. He didn't play him a ton, but he's gone right back to him, and he understands C.J. Jackson's a guy that we need if we're going to have the type of success that we want this season. Just such a big part of the team. And honestly, while maybe he didn't have his best game against Illinois, he's a guy that this season has made monster shots for this team, whether that's the Creighton game, the Cincinnati game, you go back to last season against Indiana, has been a guy that you could count on to make plays when it matters the most.
He scored a career-high 25 points in Ohio State's home opener over Purdue-Fort Wayne 2. Pick and roll wasn't quite there.
Had Kyle Young on the slip. Just missed him.
Woods with the pull-up. What a tip-in attempt by Andre Wesson. It didn't quite drop. Here comes Bucknell. Sotos. Able to square his body up, and he got the roll.
Yeah, just such a smart play by Jimmy Sotos, using 2 Ohio State defenders as a screen, and C.J. Jackson unable to get back in front because of it.
That ends what was nearly a 5-minute scoreless drought for Bucknell. Kyle Young on Sestina. Wesson underneath. A whistle. And a foul on the floor.
Andre Wesson continuing to just be terrific off the basketball, understanding he's got a smaller defender guarding him and going right to the rim. Nice job by Ohio State of finding him when he goes there as well, drawing a foul.
That's Andre's younger brother, Caleb, who was the more touted recruit coming out of Westerville South High School. But again, Ohio State is thrilled with the development that Andre has undergone in his college career. 1 year ahead of Caleb.
He's gotten so much better this season. Played a big role in last year's team and their success, but this year a much bigger role, and really the improvement he's made. I have to credit not just him, but also the Ohio State staff.
Sestina, deep three. Long rebound goes to Jackson. Bucknell still hanging around. Halfway through the second half. Jackson fouled, and he heads to the line.
Ohio State, a team that on the season has been so good at drawing fouls. Only shot 4 free throws today, which is really uncharacteristic of them. And when they've got there on the season, they've made them at a high rate. C.J. Jackson just going and making a play right there, getting into the paint.
Wednesday, Big Ten football and beyond brings you signing day special. 8 hours of coverage with coach interviews and breaking down each class. Big Ten football and beyond signing day special presented by ZipRecruiter. Wednesday starting at 9 a.m. So, Robbie, set your alarm.
I'll be sure to do that.
4-point lead for Ohio State. Sestina on Caleb Wesson, a matchup we expected to see a lot of today. Here's Wayne Ellis. And a foul in the battle for the loose board.
When you watch Bucknell, Chris, they do such a good job of understanding when they play pick and roll, the action is behind you. And right there, Walter Ellis doing a nice job of raising for his guard. Jimmy Sotos giving him the thumbs up right there, saying, hey, man, that's a good shot. We're going to make that. But have to credit Sotos for understanding the play is behind me. There you see. Good look, good offense. The freshman just unable to knock it down from distance right there.
Well, that was the 4th foul on Nate Sestina, by the way. So he heads to the bench. Kyle Young. Great defense that time by Paul Newman.
Newman going straight up. So hard to do as a shot blocker. So many guys, especially when there's contact, want to bring those arms down.
Dwayne Washington, another freshman, also on the floor for Ohio State. He had that rebound. The dump down to Wesson. He was double-teamed there and trying to fight off Paul Newman. His nickname is Trey, by the way. Dad's name is also Paul. And Kyle Young with a nice finish.
Pretty basketball there by the Buckeyes. Caleb Wesson taking his time surveying the land, and all of a sudden those Buckeye cutters start freeing themselves from the defense.
No need to step out on Paul Newman. He has not even attempted a 3-point shot this year. And suddenly Ohio State is winning the battle on the glass. Caleb Wesson thought about the transition 3. That was a prudent pass. Washington couldn't quite capitalize.
Credit Caleb Wesson. He wanted to let that thing fly, but you give him a good shot for a great one. More often than not, those are going to go down.
The basket is waved off.
Well, if you're going to post trap Caleb Wesson, you got to account for the fact that he's a pretty good passer himself. That ball is moving for the Buckeyes. They lead by 6 here.
through the battle of the bigs that we've seen so far today between Bucknell and Ohio State.
Well, not just that, but it's a conference-wide deal in this league. There's a lot of really good big men this year in the Big Ten Conference, probably led by Ethan Happ, a guy that's been a double-double machine this season while also distributing the basketball. But you see the quality of these bigs and really just how diverse their skill sets are. You have guys that play inside. You have guys that stretch the floor. You have guys that can put it on the floor, especially guys like Juwan Morgan, Isaiah Roby. And to me, Caleb Wesson, maybe not in the top tier yet, but he's getting there. And really a guy that's improved his body and improved his game. Added that three-point shot. Still young, just a sophomore. A lot of good basketball ahead of that young man right there.
We noticed that he has battled foul trouble at times this season. Is that the biggest key for him getting his face on that graphic, not just on the honorable mention?
That's one of the things. He's only playing 23 minutes a game. That's a guy that's, having a nice season. He averages 14 and 6 and 14 points a game. That's good for 21st in the Big Ten, but he only plays half the game.
Bobby Toomer leads the break. And a great block by Andre Wesson on Bruce Moore. But it is a foul, and that is the fourth on Andre. Correction, it goes on Keyshawn Woods, his second. Bucknell on the season is shooting just 66.7% from the foul line, and got him in a close game like this. Certainly want to hit more of your shots than just 2 out of 3. For 2 in that sequence, and Ohio State gets the ball back.
You want to win road games against a Big Ten opponent. That's just one of those deals where you cannot come up 0 for 2 there. Late in this ball game, you have to take advantage of every opportunity that's presented to your team.
Caleb Wesson underneath, and he turns it over.
Bruce Moore got clocked, it looks like, by an elbow. He's slow to get up here. You're going to see him on the right side of the screen coming through here, and well, it's hard to he goes down like there was a lot of contact. These officials are going to take another look.
Again, they are going to take a peek at this. Would they assign a flagrant here?
They could, but to me, that was the best angle that we've had. Just to see that again. I think the behind the basket angle, a good one to take a look at. You see him coming through here. I think that might be an acting job here, Chris.
Well, not to cast aspersions or anything like that, but we did see Chris Holtmann after one of the first calls of the game in the first half. Once again, Robbie gets the explanation from our officials. Basically, nothing to see here is what they're telling us. Nothing to see here, Robbie?
So, yeah, it's basically what we just said. It's inconclusive. Well, there is some blood on Bruce Moore's face, but that replay just doesn't look like there was much contact there.
So Bucknell basketball because of the foul, and it goes right back to Ohio State. That's 5 on Sestina. He's out of here.
Yeah. A guy that's been so good for them this year, and with him in the lineup, they've been 4-1, missed 2 games to injury. And with him on the bench for the remaining 7-17, this is going to be an uphill battle for sure.
Again, Nate Sestina was named a preseason All-Patriot League player this year, one of just 5 players named to that list after starting just 1 game in the first 3 years of his college career, a sign of just how much potential he has shown off the Bucknell bench. We've got a lot of whistles right now. That one goes against Paul Newman of Bucknell, his second. He had some good rhythm to start the second half, but ultimately, Ohio State did a pretty good job against Sistina today, holding him well below his season average of 17 points. Were you expecting to see Ohio State go back to Caleb Wesson in the second half inside the way they did in the first?
Yeah, I think at any time on the floor, he has such a size mismatch that going into him is a great option. And as a passer today, for the most part, he's done a pretty good job. Had some turnovers early in the first half, but they've also got great contributions from Woods and Luther Muhammad. C.J. Jackson's played well. So at any time you can go to him, but you've got other guys playing good basketball.
Around the world and out for Jimmy Sotos. And Ohio State Kincaid's lead here. Bucknell has gone cold after a hot shooting start to the second half. Luther Muhammad, catch and release. Sotos has the rebound and triggers the fast break. Around Keyshawn Woods, he hooks up a shot that goes missing. And here comes Ohio State right back the other way. Woods was open on the wing. Jackson couldn't find him.
Smart play there by C.J. Jackson to bring that out, run some clock, and run some offense. Push the pace, take a look, and when it's not there, pull it out.
Off-ball foul called that time on Bruce Moore. And he's got 4 fouls, so Bucknell is in some foul trouble. Nate Sistina has already fouled out. Time for our Duluth Trading hardest working player. It's that man right there, the sophomore Caleb Wesson, who continues to build upon an all Big Ten freshman season last year.
You see the numbers and still trying to figure out, I think, how good of a player he can be. He's made strides this season, but a bright future for him and this Ohio State program. Have to like their young guys, Wesson, Kyle Young, Luther Muhammad. A lot to like in a recruiting class next year that's coming in that's thought of as one of the best in the Big Ten Conference.
Caleb Wesson, with 8 rebounds today, is 2 rebounds away from his first career double-double. He just tied his career high with 19 points. He already has a career high with 4 assists today. It's been an all-around outstanding afternoon for Caleb Wesson. And now you're starting to see the energy rise by this Ohio State defense.
Luther Muhammad, just such a pest on the basketball. Active hands. Kimball McKenzie just didn't have anything for him right there. Picked his dribble up, and that defense swarming, forcing the turnover.
Bucknell has made 1 field goal in 9 minutes and 17 seconds of game time.
You just feel like Ohio State clamped down. Nothing easy. No more open threes, no breakdowns, and really no more gambles.
Another rebound for Caleb Wesson. Luther Muhammad, how did he slip through?
Well, that between the legs move. Luther Muhammad out here making plays, getting to the rim, showing off the handle.
All right, let's take a look at this message from ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire and the official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference.
Hiring delays were causing work to pile up. That's not smart. But you know what is smart? Using ZipRecruiter. They find people with the right skills, education, and experience for my job and actively invite them to apply. So I got qualified candidates fast. No wonder ZipRecruiter is rated #1 by employers in the U.S.
ZipRecruiter, official hiring partner of the Big Ten Conference. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Big Ten.
Robbie, we got to see a look at this play again by Luther Muhammad.
Well, known as a defender, really, but you see here showing off the offensive repertoire, going between the legs, and pretty basketball.
10-point lead for Ohio State late in the second half. Moore with the quick touch pass out to Kimball McKenzie. Those shots are no longer falling for Bucknell, and here comes Ohio State's Andre Wesson. This is the second meeting ever between Ohio State and Bucknell. Woods Had it deflected out of bounds by Bucknell. It stays with the Buckeyes. And it took about a half, Robbie, but the Ohio State defense reverted to the form we saw through its first 9 games.
No, they have locked in. Bucknell just shooting 22% from the field and 11% from 3. They shut the water off.
Got to pay your bills on time. Only 3 to shoot. Woods with 1 left. Good defensive stand by the Bison.
I have to think if Bucknell's going to make another push, it's going to have to be Avi Toomer and Kimball McKenzie.
John Meeks got stripped. Caleb Wesson got a paw in there. Woods is open in the corner. Jackson drives instead. Too much mustard off the window. And a foul on Bucknell.
I love the pace that C.J. Jackson has played with today. He's really pushed tempo and done a nice job of assessing what's there. Right there, nobody stops the basketball. I'm getting to the rim. You know, we've also seen him get stopped and pull it out and run offense. But here, if no one's going to stop you, get into that paint, get to the rim, and see him kind of hobbling off there.
And in my estimation, too, Robbie, even coming off a game in which he was challenged against Illinois, he hasn't tried to do too much in this game. He stayed within himself.
He certainly has. And looks like he's in a good amount of pain right here. I have to think that, well, this substitution, Dwayne Washington is coming in for C.J. Jackson here.
This has felt like a conference game in terms of the physicality.
It's been a physical game. That's what Bucknell brings. They may be in a mid-major conference, but they play a high-major brand of basketball, and that's why they've had the success that they've had in the last 6 or 7 years.
Even with the 3 all-league players Bucknell lost at graduation last year, Nathan Davis still said this is a team that expects to win the Patriot League again.
And they have pieces where they can do it. This is not a December game where it's a pushover opponent. Bucknell, very good, very experienced, and a program that believes that they can compete in these types of games.
Newman is still working to refine the finer points of his game offensively. They've certainly put up a spirited battle against Ohio State today, but the Buckeyes perhaps too strong. They lead by 11.
That store and pick that thing up.
I probably would have been on sale. Take a look at Bucknell's struggles offensively in the second half. They are 1 for their last 14 and 1 for 10 from 3 in the second half.
Well, I think it's just been a much more disciplined effort by these Buckeyes here in the second half. First half, you saw them gambling in the passing lanes, going for some steals, allowing Bucknell to get their head up. And it just, nothing has been easy for the Bison in the second half. Credit Ohio State shutting down driving lanes and contesting every shot.
Paul Newman banks in the free throw. What do you think about that?
I love it.
Did you ever bank one in?
I've airballed a free throw, but I'm not sure I ever banked one.
Is it worse to bank it in or airball?
I mean, if you airball it, the better one, the next one better be a bank, because it's not going to be 2 straight airballs. But
well, Newman is at least able to make it a 10-point game. Here's Keyshawn Woods, who's had a fantastic second half. Dwayne Washington got his pocket picked, but it stays with Ohio State. 14 on the shot clock. I think about one thing that you told me at halftime, Robbie, and Bucknell is a team that looks like a tournament team.
Right. Just the experience, the physicality, the versatility they have, where they have bigs that can switch ball screens. You look at a guy like Bruce Moore, who can guard 1 through 5, and Nate Sestina, who's a guy that very well could be the Patriot League Player of the Year. Just a lot of talent. I have to credit Nathan Davis. He's stockpiled it.
Bucknell has put the clamps on the last 2 possessions for Ohio State, but now they need to break out of their freezing cold scoring slump.
There you see just the help defense everywhere. Kyle Young showing great help on the baseline. This Ohio State team, they help each other, and they defend as a unit. You see the best defensive teams in college basketball. That's exactly what they do. Nothing comes easy.
And only 1 shot, too. That's one thing Nathan Davis told us last night before the game. He said Ohio State is so good at making you take the shot they want you to take.
Bucknell, not a team that's known to go to the offensive glass, but just 4 offensive rebounds today. It's really been one and done all afternoon here.
Finally, a layup for Avi Toomer. He's got 10 today.
Well, that being said, it's still just an 8-point game. This has the feel of maybe a little more. I think Chris Holman's going to take a timeout and talk this possession over.
And the reason why it probably feels like more than just an 8-point game is because Bucknell hadn't made a field goal since the 10-10 mark in the second half until that Avi Toomer layup. A look at Caleb Wesson and his brother Andre. Their dad Keith, of course, played at Ohio State in the 1980s. Caleb's had a great day.
Certainly has, and got off to the strong start. Has done work in the paint. See him get in position, using his size, right jump hook. And physically, no one on Bucknell's roster has been able to match what he's brought. A nice day, 19 points, 9 rebounds, close to that double-double mark.
There's Dad taking a look inside Value City Arena. By the way, that was In the Net, brought to you by Bass Pro Shops. Keith Wesson was the starting center in the first game of the 1986-87 season that Ohio State opened up against Bucknell. It was not here at Value City Arena. It was at the venerable St. John's Arena, but some symmetry there between father and sons.
Ohio State tried to go high-low there. Credit Bucknell's defense shutting that down.
Andre Wesson with the pull-up. Muhammad tries to save it baseline. He did a tap dance, but it's Bucknell ball. A shot clock violation, actually.
Bucknell defending out of a timeout right there so well. Andre Wesson trying to flash high post and throw it over the top. But credit this undersized Bison team. No Nate Sestina in there. Bruce Moore. John Meeks fighting hard. Defensively, they've done enough here to stage a little comeback. It's just got to break the ice on the offensive end of the floor, have somebody make a shot.
Perhaps Kimball McKenzie. Not enough elevation on the reverse.
That's one where he had drawn 4 defenders. You got 2 guys on the perimeter. Make the extra pass. Get a great look for a teammate.
Under 90 seconds to play, and now time is of the essence for Bucknell. Caleb Wesson with the basketball, and his first career double-double in the bag today. Keyshawn Woods with 3 to shoot. Rebound pulled down by Sotos, but now you have to score if you're Bucknell. Bruce Moore open underneath. He got stripped and goes to the line for 2 free throws. Moore is just a 67% foul shooter, however.
Bruce Moore running the floor right there. And go back to that last Buckeye possession. Caleb Wesson again seeing the double team. You skip the basketball to Luther Muhammad. That's when he's got to shoot. You know, you're not going to get a better look than that from 3. You're open. Instead, you throw it into the post to Keyshawn Woods, and he has to take a contested fadeaway. Now, that's an unselfish play. But by being unselfish, you're really overpassing the basketball. That's got to go up.
That is the first double-double for Caleb Wesson this season. Second career double-double. Moore goes 2 for 2, and now it's a 6-point game. Wesson to the foul line.
Smart play there by Caleb Wesson, catching that basketball and going right to the paint, right to the rim. Drawing a foul. Have to think Bucknell was coming to foul regardless, but love the aggressiveness there. Getting to the basket.
Western Michigan on the way next. Is Michigan head and shoulders the best team in the conference right now?
I think right now they are. They're playing the best basketball out of anybody, offensively, defensively. Defensively, they can just play in so many different ways, where that's go big with Teskey, go small with Livers at the 5. Brosdakis has been not just one of the best freshmen in the Big Ten, but one of the best freshmen in all of the country. A lot of guys on the offensive end of the floor that can make plays as well.
Career high for Caleb Wesson, but Jimmy Sotos is still scoring for Bucknell. Woods gets wrapped up by Avi Toomer and heads down to the other end. Michigan State's not quite in that category yet, up there with Michigan.
I don't think so yet. They are playing much better as of late. We've seen the Spartans put together some solid performances here. But for now, I think Michigan is the top tier team and everybody else looking up.
Well, the Big Ten is back, safe to say, right after a down year last year.
No, the depth of the conference is what's so impressive. You look at the grouping that you would call maybe tier 2 of Ohio State, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan State, Maryland, Nebraska, I think would be in that tier. Minnesota, one that's on the cusp. Purdue. Not an easy night in this league, regardless of who you play.
Oh, a three-pointer for Bucknell would make this interesting. There it is from Kimball McKenzie.
Again, hold your horse. Three-point game. It has the feel of much more, but Ohio State going to have to make some free throws late, and C.J. Jackson having to burn a timeout there in the backcourt.
Again, Bucknell has been right on the cusp of some big-time upsets in the last 2 NCAA tournaments. They lost by 4 to Michigan State last year. They lost by 8 to West Virginia the year before that. So they know how to navigate these close games late.
And you know, Kimball McKenzie never going to be scared. As a sophomore, 23 points against West Virginia in the NCAA tournament. He's done it against major conference opponents. Having a great season, averaging 16 a game this year. And now some game pressure. You know, Ohio State, I think, maybe felt like they were out of the woods here. And credit Bucknell. They have hung around and taken punch after punch, still here.
And by the way, he's a senior class award candidate. Robbie, I know you won that, right?
Yeah, back in 2012, back in the day.
And that's for contributions, of course, to your team, but also off the court as well, right? And in the classroom.
And given to just an outstanding senior and a guy that's been in the Bucknell program and has been a big part of their success. Been to NCAA tournaments, and I'm sure for him, the goal's got to be we make an NCAA tournament now, but we win a game in the tournament as well.
And certainly create a lasting legacy. Wesson draws the foul. And it goes against McKenzie, as a matter of fact, his third. What's the strategy now if you're Bucknell? I would imagine you're talking about scenarios based on whether or not Wesson makes 1 or 2.
Well, I think regardless, 1 or 2, you're trying to get a quick bucket. And it doesn't matter 2 or 3, you're taking the best available shot. You want to push the pace. And at this point in the game, you know, whether you're down 4 or 5, you just need points.
Well, Wesson has a whole lot of points today, 21 for the big man, on an impressive list of Ohio Mr. Basketball Award winners to come to Columbus. You think of Jared Sullinger, Jimmy Jackson, John Diebler, William Buford. I know you played with some of those guys.
So much talent in the state of Ohio, and obviously those names of Ohio State greats.
Toomer hits it.
Kimball McKenzie doing a great job of driving that basketball. Avi Toomer getting away. And we've got a 2-point game.
That ball is loose. Bucknell nearly had it. John Meeks has it and calls the timeout.
What a sequence. Well, you got to give all the credit in the world to this Bucknell Bison team. Just going out here, competing, playing hard, getting on the floor. You see Toomer making the big-time 3, and then loose basketball. Who wants it more? There you see it's going to end up John Meeks calling the smart timeout. 14 seconds to go. And Nathan Davis is going to have an opportunity to draw something up with a chance to win.
Here is the Bucknell comeback to make it a 2-point game with 14 seconds left.
Well, we saw them go cold, but they have heated up and in a hurry. They've made their last 3 field goals while holding Ohio State to 0 for their last 4. And it's been really done from the perimeter. Avi Toomer making a monster 3-point shot right there.
Remember a couple of times we said, boy, it's an 8-point game.
It didn't feel that close, though. It didn't have the feel of Ohio State really having an opportunity to lose. And you got to credit Bucknell for just hanging in there, hanging tough.
It was like the game hit at sort of a lull, and then
really
boom,
did.
Bucknell.
Credit those guys for hanging in. Chris Holman's defense going to be tested here.
Remember, Bucknell has not beaten a ranked team since 2005.
Always interesting to see when teams on the road in this position, down 2, I would assume Bucknell is going to go for the win. Sustaining foul trouble, I would think it's going to be Kimball McKenzie coming off a screen, making a play.
Jimmy Sotos on ball now. 5 seconds left. Bruce Moore, not the guy Bucknell wanted to take that shot. Sotos, the last prayer. It goes begging, and Ohio State hangs on. We're going to look at the replay first before we check in with my broadcast partner, Robbie Hummel. But Ohio State's defense put the clamps down when it mattered most. Ultimately, it was Bruce Moore, a guy who has not attempted many 3-point shots this season, who essentially took the final look for Bucknell. And needless to say, on the priority list, he was not even in the top 3. Well, that will wrap it up from Columbus, where Ohio State hangs on to defeat Bucknell by 2 points. Coming up next, it's Michigan basketball. So for Robbie Hummel and our entire crew, I'm Chris Vosters. 73-71 the final score. Let's send it to our Chicago studios for a Big Ten game break. Thanks for watching in Columbus.